good evening. The time is now 6 o'clock. We're going to call the June 9, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order. Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Clark. Here. Coffering. Here. Elvin.
Here.
Madison. Scott. Here. Perryman Tanks.
Here.
And Tyler.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum. The agenda was circulated prior to today's meeting and is here before you now. Are there any questions relative to the agenda? Hearing none, without objection, we'll pass a motion to approve the agenda by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to doing so? Okay, hearing none, the agenda is hereby approved. We will go then to the consent agenda. I believe we have 3 items on the consent agenda. Those include the minutes from the May 12th meeting as well as personnel actions, and then there's a personnel action addendum also. Any questions on the consent agenda? Without objection, we pass a motion to approve the consent agenda by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to doing so? Hearing none, the consent agenda is hereby approved. And we will go to item number 4, which is presentation of students of the month. Mr. Abdullah, have you on the floor.
Thank you, President Alvin. Welcome, everyone. Sorry we didn't get enough chairs. We have some out there. Those of you that already heard what we're going to do, we'll always start with Lessinger, and then we'll work Lessinger, the elementaries. When the principal comes up, we'll ask the student to come up. At that time, you're welcome to come up with your child and stand with them. If you choose to sit down, then after they're done presenting their award, we'll ask you to come here, the whole family, whoever you invite, and face me, and I'll take pictures. If you object to me posting pictures on Facebook, just kind of give me a heads up, because I'll do that tomorrow, and I tend to upload them all together, so if you have just give me a heads up to leave you out of it. Otherwise, I post them. Other than that, welcome. We will have a break. The board president will give us 5 minutes to adjourn, take pictures outside with your principal, with the family. If you choose to stay at the meeting, he'll also invite you to stay if you want to. With that being said, welcome, and Director North for Lessinger.
Okay. Lessinger Rebels. You know what they say, basketball first. So we're gonna get ready to present. I'm so excited to honor our Lessinger Rebels today, as I say always, in case you don't know, I'm sure you have all heard. Rebel stands for resilient, empowered, brilliant, ethical, loving, and self-assured. So those are definitely my babies at Lessinger. I am Director North, and I'm so honored to be here to kick us off for our final student of the month for 24-25. There we go. All right, so the first student I have here, I want to tell you, this is my baby. His teacher is here. Where is she? I see Ms. Lazar. Yes, there she is. Okay, this is my baby. I get a hug every day, every single day when I do my rounds at the beginning of the morning, and literally we just ran to each other and hugged in the hallway. He gives me the best hugs to start my morning, and I'm so thankful for him. So I'm going to let his teacher come up here and say a few words about him. It is Haru Mayfield, and Miss Lazar is his teacher. She's going to kick us off with it. Good evening, everybody.
Haru was chosen for Student of the Month as he has accomplished so much this school year. He's smart, loves to participate in activity, and it's a great friend. We are so proud of him and his growth, as he is well deserving of Student of the Month. Congratulations, Haru, Mom, and Dad.
So we're going to get a picture. Here, Haru, look. You know you love when I give you a toy, okay? So here are your toys, okay? Yeah. We're going to look at them when we get outside. Okay. Come on over here with us, Haru.
Anyone else?
Mom, come on. Now he gonna post no matter how we look. Okay, you cute though. You good? Okay. You see your grandma and grandpa? You waiting for your grandma and grandpa? He had to go get them. Come on. Don't push me. Say cheese. Ready to take a picture? Ready? Look at the camera.
I can't see Grandma.
Oh, they can't see you. Hold up.
There you go.
Say cheese.
Over here. Over here. Over here. There you go. All right.
Thank you, Haru. I'm so proud of him. My baby has come such a long way. He's an excellent Messenger Rebel. So thank you, family, for coming. So our next student we have the teacher as well, is Miss Karis Harden. Okay, she's a second generation Messenger Rebel, okay? 'Cause her brother came through Messenger, okay? Come on up, come on, guys, come on up too. And we have her teacher here, Miss Ellerson, who is going to present to Karis.
Hello, everybody. Hello. So, I wrote a speech, but I'm not going to say it. It's too long. But Karis is my baby. Karis came in. She represents all our core values as a Messenger Rebel. She's resilient. She comes in. She wants to help her kid, her friends. She helps clean up. She's always prepared and ready to learn. When I say Karis she has excelled this year. Karis was one of our kids who was not up to where she needed to be in the beginning of the school year, and now she's one of the highest kids in our classroom. Karis is always there to help people, be their friend, and I am so proud of her. I will take her home. And this is for you.
That's your award, and here are your gifts. Okay, let's go get our picture. You ready?
You going to come on? Come on, come on.
Ready? Over here. All right.
Somebody show me. No? Okay. That was here? Okay. All right, so thank you so much to my Messenger families, to my teachers that came that are so loving and devoted to our babies. I just want to thank everybody. I greatly appreciate it. So I have the pleasure of introducing our next principal, who is Miss Provenzala. Yeah, Provenzala. Okay. And I was going to say just Shine Einstein, but I didn't want to take it. But so I stopped myself, but they Shine Einstein, so she's going to come up and present to her Einstein Eagles. Come on up here.
Yes, I got it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the proud principal at Einstein Elementary School, and we have two wonderful fourth graders that we're going to honor today. Miss Mills is their teacher. She nominated both of them, but unfortunately she's unable to be here because she's with her child at her soccer game. But we want to honor her first student, Miss Riley Turner. So Miss Mills writes about Riley. Riley in life, the people we all most enjoy being near are those who radiate joy wherever they are. One of our fourth graders who has been nominated as one of the June Students of the Month is definitely this person. She is also a student who embodies all of the Capturing Kids' Hearts character traits. For example, each morning and afternoon, she greets others with a smile and kind words. She is a true joy and ray of sunshine. She is very kind to others, is always smiling, and passes her happiness on to all of her class. She writes a lot of stuff for me to read. She passes her happiness on to other classmates and her teachers. In class, she is bubbly and excited to learn. Her passion for learning is contagious. She doesn't draw attention to herself, but she does what needs to be done. She actively participates in class. She does a nice job in her work without needing praise or attention. In addition to her positive attitude and her big heart, selfless, caring, and hardworking are additional traits that describe what a great student she is. She consistently puts the interest of others ahead of her own. She is a friend to all and offers a helping hand to any student or teacher in need. Her classmates love to be around her. In addition to academics, she was in the school's play Moana and was a cheerleader for the boys basketball team. And all of the teachers believe every class needs a student just like her. That is the reason why we're selecting Riley Turner for one of our Students of the Month. I'm so proud, Ms. Mills is so proud of what she has accomplished as her teacher. Keep the amazing work up, and can't wait to see all of the wonderful things that you accomplish in the future. Riley, this is yours. Now look at it. This is yours also. And Riley, what was your part in Moana? Hey Hey, which is the little, they were so cute. The little rooster that is on the stage, she had little feathers and a little, it was so cute. It was a great production.
Over here. Ready? All right.
Our next Student of the Month is also a fourth grader that was also in Moana, Miss Kennedy Mann. Yeah, I'm gonna say it wrong. Is it Tamatoa?
Yes.
That was
That's
Tamatoa.
the best song.
That was
She did
amazing.
amazing.
She was
I was there.
amazing. If you were there,
Did amazing.
blew it out the water. Like, it was amazing. It was great. So this is what Ms. Mills has to say about you. In life, the most successful people are those who work hard to accomplish their goals. Kennedy Mann is definitely this person. Each morning and afternoon, she always walks into the classroom determined to get her work done. She completes all of her assignments to the best of her ability, earning top marks, and always turns in her assignments on time. She is full of enthusiasm for everything we do and always has a super positive attitude. Throughout class, she is always stepping into a leadership role. For example, she steps into a teacher-like role by explaining to her group members how to solve a math problem or complete the activity. Due to her stepping into this leadership role, the other students respect her and look to her for help and guidance. In addition, she is the perfect example of a student who embodies all of the Capturing Kids' Hearts traits. She consistently has the willingness and ability to take ownership of her own thoughts and words and actions by always doing the right thing. In addition, she is always accountable for her choices and understands how those choices impact herself and others. She also manages and organizes her time and resources very well by completing her assignments on time. She's prepared daily and has made the transition well into our class. Lastly, she has been working extremely hard on iReady to get her minutes and lessons done. In addition to academics, she was in the school's play Moana. All of the teachers believe every class needs a student just like her as well, and that is our reason for selecting Kennedy Mann for Student of the Month. Kennedy is a joy to have in class, and I'm so glad that she is part of our class family. I'm so proud of you. Keep up the amazing work, and I can't wait to see all of the wonderful things you accomplish in the future. This is yours. Do you want to put that in there? Thank you. Or you don't, you can hold it if you want. And pictures. And Greg, you can be in the picture.
Is this 3 generations?
Yeah.
3 generations. Ready? Awesome.
Oh. Okay, next I would like to, well, it's my pleasure and honor to announce Miss Demila Prince, principal of Key Elementary School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Demila Prince, the proud principal of Key Elementary, and I am excited to introduce our wonderful Students of the Month for the month of June. Our Students of the Month have displayed key pride, and that's positivity, respect, integrity, diversity, and excellence. And so today I have Ms. Thomas, who is going to come up, our 4th grade teacher, and she is going to present our first Student of the Month.
Good evening, everyone. Please pardon my voice. I have laryngitis, getting over laryngitis. But when asked to think of a student who is positive, respectful, and consistently demonstrates integrity, I immediately thought of Breasia Henderson. I am more than happy to select her as Student of the Month here at our school, Francis Scott Key Elementary. I have had the honor to work with her, with Breasia, the entire school year, and she has demonstrated great excellence for her education, a strong sense of leadership, and compassion for other students in the classroom. Breasia is a friend to everyone in her grade and is always willing to help others and share kind word. She is happiest when she's singing and dancing or drawing pictures to brighten up her teacher's day or other students' day. Lastly, she honors all school and class rules to ensure everyone is in a safe and respectful learning environment. I am so pleased to recommend Breasia Henderson as Student of the Month. Congratulations, Breasia. Keep up the excellent dedication to your education you demonstrate.
Just pull the balloon down a little bit.
And next, I have the honor of presenting Ms. Zaria Johnson. Can Zaria and her family come on up? Yes. And Summer is here. And she is going to present Zaria.
Good evening. I'm so excited. Zaria has had a fantastic year, and I know we're saving the best for last here in June, but she truly is a wonderful student in my classroom. She's helpful and kind to everyone. She's not only a leader at her table, but she's also a leader in my classroom. I know that if I have a sub or if they're at specials, I can call on her and say what really happened, and I know she'll always tell me the truth about whatever's going on in the room. When she came into my classroom, she was already reading at grade level, but now she's reading way above grade level, so I'm so super proud of that. On iReady, she not only reached her typical growth score, but she also reached her stretch growth on her reading and also met her typical growth on math. In math, she's always eager to volunteer for an answer, and even though she's only missed like 1 or 2 days, which is unbelievable in school, she's always there to learn and be a productive part of my class. So congratulations, Zara.
Her older sister Lily got Student of the Month last year, right?
All right, at this time, I would like to bring up Mr. Haley, the principal of Pepper Elementary. Come on, Mr. Haley.
Good evening, everyone. It is with great honor that I present to you Mrs. Jennifer Snow, third grade teacher from Pepper Elementary School, who will introduce the Pepper Students of the Month.
everyone. Good evening. I will start with Bethany Duller. Bethany Duller was chosen for having good attendance and a positive attitude. She shows her dedication by completing all of her assignments on time. I can always catch her with a good book after she completes her assignments due to her love for reading. She is always helpful to me and to other classmates. It was such a pleasure to have her this school year in class. I also want to thank Bethany's family for supporting her and supporting me this year. Bethany Duller. Next, I will introduce Torres Johnson. Torres Johnson was also chosen Student of the Month for having good attendance, a positive attitude, and a strong willingness to learn and to do his absolute best. He is kind to staff members and also to his peers. I love to answer his million questions during our class discussions, especially during science and social studies. I am very proud to have met him and have the opportunity to teach him this school year. I would also like to thank his parents for their continuous support that they gave me this year.
I now present to you the newly hired assistant principal of the Oak Park Preparatory Academy, Miss Yvonne Taylor.
Well, I need to correct that. I am the newly hired but returning home. Good evening, everyone. I am so excited to be here tonight. Like I said, this is my home. I've returned here after I was gone for 6 years, but I was here for 23 years. So this is home for me. So I am the proud assistant principal, Yvonne Taylor. I'm representing Oak Park Preparatory Academy, and I am here to call out our wonderful Students of the Month. So our Students of the Month, and I'll just say a quick brief thing about our Students of the Month. Our Students of the Month are students who demonstrate outstanding leadership, positive attitude, persistent growth, and high academic achievement. So we have 3 wonderful students, and I'm going to start with Caleb Moore. Now, let me say a few words about Caleb Moore. Caleb Moore has been chosen for our June 2025 Student of the Month because he is a fantastic student who shows up to class every day ready to learn. Throughout the school year, he has worked hard to grow in all of his classes. Caleb shows incredible motivation and always tries to put his best effort into assignments. This is not only respectable, but it is also inspirational to others. He continues his commitment to education, leads his teachers to believe that he will experience great academic success. Keep up the great work, Caleb. We are so proud of you. We have a few items for you. I'm going to take a picture of it. Hold your certificate.
You gotta
And
get
you
your
got one
yard
more.
signed.
You got to get your card signed.
the host.
Oh,
of
yes,
the-
gotta represent. All right, next up, I believe I see her in the back over there, we have Phoenix Roger. Now, I didn't say that Caleb was our sixth grader, and Phoenix is also a sixth grader. Phoenix has been chosen for our June 25th, 2025 Student of the Month because she is a smart and motivated young woman. She has shown so much growth this year and always ready to take on leadership roles and new challenges. Phoenix is a flexible learner and adapts extremely quickly and smoothly to change when faced with challenges. She approaches everything with a positive attitude, versatile attitude that allows her to thrive in the classroom. Every student can learn from Phoenix. Keep up the excellent work. We are so proud of you. And we can't forget the yard sign. Let's go over there. Want to hold the yard sign? You hold that? Just like that. Got it? Thank you. And last but certainly not least, our eighth grader, we have Marissa Partlow McGowan. Marissa has been chosen for our Student of the Month because her teachers have had the pleasure of watching Marissa grow throughout this school year. While Marissa has always been a great individual and someone you can trust, she now believes that she is capable and deserves to be a high achiever. This growth in her confidence has given her the ability to advocate for her own learning, which has led to improvements in her grades. Marissa will not be stopped. Keep up the great work in high school and beyond. We are so proud of you. Yes, we gotta get the yard sign. Yeah, you go in the front.
Come on, family.
Oh, that's what I'm on family hold. You got it. You can go back. You go. Thank you all, and I am going to introduce for our next, our Oak Park High School. I'm not sure who's representing, but it is Miss Renita Williams. Miss Williams, Renita Williams. She'll be in. The principal of Oak Park High.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Renita Williams. I am the principal at Oak Park High School, home of the Knights, the flagship of the Oak Park School District. Yes. The first student that has been nominated at Oak Park High School as Student of the Month is Dominique Walton. So Dominique was nominated by her teacher, Ms. Johnson. According to Ms. Johnson, Dominique has exhibited exemplary skills in character development, behavior, effort, social responsibility, and attendance this school year. Ms. Johnson further notes that Dominique is an amazing young lady with a great attitude. She's a hardworking scholar, and she surpassed her NWA both reading and math goals this year.
Yes.
Dominique is an active participant in the Oak Park school community. She's a cheerleader and she's also a part of the Lady Knights track and field team. She loves to run, and specifically, she loves the relay, she loves the 100, the 200, and the 400. And so most recently, the ladies track and field team won the MSHA Division I state championship, and she was on that team. After high school, Dominique aspires to attend college with hopes of being a real estate agent. And it is with great pleasure that the Oak Park High School administration recognizes and acknowledges Dominique Walton, grade 10, as one of our Scholars of the Month. Our next Scholar of the Month is Junior Christina Love. Christina was nominated by her teacher, Ms. Fuller, and according to Ms. Fuller, Christina has demonstrated exemplary skills in academic performance, character, behavior, effort, social responsibility, and attendance. Ms. Fuller further notes that Christina is simply amazing. She works one-to-one with her classmates who have fallen behind without anyone having to ask her to do so. She just does it out of her own free will, the kindness of her heart. Christina is an active and extremely engaged scholar at Oak Park High School. She is a graphic designer for the student council for the class of 2026. So for any upcoming engagements or events that the school has, this is the person who's designing the flyers. For she's self-taught also, graphic designer, she's self-taught, no one taught her, she taught herself. She's also a member of the Distinguished Knights, and as a member of the Distinguished Knights, it is her responsibility to ensure that positivity is spread throughout the school. This aligns with who she is at her core, because she is intrinsically motivated to help others. She also aspires, she's thinking about being a teacher, so that's something that's also great. Christina is an artist, and she submitted a piece of artwork to the Oak Park Community Juneteenth Committee, and she won. This summer, Christina will attend Oakland University for a pre-college campus experience, which will have her live in the dorm on the campus, and she will also be attending college courses. It is with great pleasure that I present to you Ms. Christina Love as our Junior Scholar of the Month.
Good. There you go.
So next we will hear from Mr. Derek Falk, Principal of Nova Academy.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Derek Falk. I am the proud principal of Nova Academy. And I have my fine teacher here, who is an excellent person here to represent Nova, to tell you about Ms. Katura Brunson, about our Students of the Month. Come on, Ms. Brunson.
All right. Well, I have the honor, the privilege to announce our last Student of the Month for the 2024-25 school year. And our first one, well, ladies first. I will start with our 11th grade student, Amari Pagan. This is our first year with us, and I'm telling you, it has been a joy. I've never met a student that has been so hard-headed but driven at the same time in my life, and I love her. She's a joy. She came to us this year, and she sat back for a minute. She was trying to figure out, get her bearings. And when she caught on, she took off. This young lady is soaring. She came in, took care of her business when it came to credit recovery. She's becoming a part of our student council that we're trying to build at Nova. I appreciate her for that. She comes in and helps out anything that I ask her to do, she does it. And I love her, and I appreciate her so much. I love her. She's going places, you guys. She loves to dance. She loves to, she's trying to act a little bit. She's trying to do a little acting. And she's also considering being a part of CASA. So we're looking forward to that. Great things are happening at Nova. So again, our student of the month for June, Ms. Amara. Now, we also have our student of the month who was nominated, one of our hybrid in-person. He loves us so much that he doesn't know which way he want to go, whether he want to stay in the building or be online, but he's still with us. And Marcus Williams. And you talk about someone overcoming some challenges, and I know everybody know the history of Nova and the whole name it had, and we're trying to make a difference. We're trying to shine a new light, a new brightness on the school, and he is definitely an example of that. Just overcoming a lot of obstacles and adversities in life, and he's here, and he's showing himself that he can do it. All you got to do is just step back and let him, and we trying to let him know at Nova, we got you. And we're here for you, all right? So you keep up the good work. I appreciate you, too. I love you.
As always, we at Nova Academy and all of the principals want to thank you for seeing our scholars. We're just really, really proud of our children. And just bear with us because we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing them to be great. You can see Marcus right here, and we done came a long way with Marcus, but it will be, I have to say something about him. Marcus, come on back. I got to just say one thing. I usually don't talk. My boys mean so much to me because we lose them. And we're trying to make sure we don't lose them. And I want you to know that we wrap our arms around our boys and we try to make sure they go on the right path. And my boy here, you're going to do it, aren't you? Tell him.
I'm on the right path. I go sing you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you. All right, that concludes our students of the month presentation. We will take 3 minutes to allow those who want to leave to do that, and then we'll continue with our meeting moving forward. So we'll give about 3 minutes for those who want to transition. Of course, all are welcome to stay. I don't want anyone to think they have to go. So 3 minutes. Thank you. presentations, 4B, Square One Strategy Group, Dr. Shannon Smith. Mr. Smith, Dr. Smith, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
All right.
Good to hear.
I know you've presented here before, so good to see your face again. And,
Good to be seen.
yeah, welcome.
Thank you. I'll jump right into it, but before I do, I want to say that not many boards take the time to do what you did this evening, to acknowledge, to memorialize, and to honor your teachers, your students, your principals, and this moment, and I know that it was about 45 minutes, will live with these students and families for the rest of their lives. I was never Student of the Month, but it definitely, I could totally imagine it being a whole thing in 10 years. So my name is Shannon Smith, and I'm actually with the Square One Strategy Group. I have a presentation that is right behind me. So, that having been said, we are a group of educators that work with school boards, organizations around strategic thinking, leadership development, leadership support. Really, we implement research-based solutions that drive improvement in systems. And so we've been doing this work since 1999. It's interesting to say it in that way because it's been 25 years, but we don't offer one-size-fits-all solutions. We customize and tailor everything that we do for every organization that we work with. That having been said, I'd like to talk about board training and board development and board workshops. So the first thing that I want to talk about is why it matters. Having a high-functioning board directly impacts and influences student and administrator success. It leads to a reduction in role confusion, it builds alignment, it builds unity, it builds cohesion, and it improves public trust. It does all those things, and it also empowers strategic oversight and goal alignment. And it's important that we understand that, I'm going to say we're not the cheapest, but we are the most customized. That having been said, if you want to go and work with another organization that'll give you a webinar that it gives everyone else, you can do that. Or you can have purposefully designed, customized tools based on conversations that we have with you, based on an understanding of what your needs are, based on your context. Our goal is to really align each session to what your current needs are, your current context, and have measurable impact attached to that. That having been said, what we're going to talk about is what will success look like on the back end of this. Well, we're going to track these based on your feedback, your understanding of governance and your roles, your responsibilities, your understanding of your collaboration, your strategic thinking and decision making. And as we think about this, as we engage in this work, we will build a more unified, aligned board. Now, there's a couple of things. We're going to start with a survey. And that survey is actually, I'm going to ask, and the link, and I'm sure you have the deck as well. You have that?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to invite each of you to complete this survey. The results are 100% anonymous and will only be used to help inform our planning and customization of the sessions. It's just an interest survey based on what you're thinking, where you are, and we're actually going to use it to shape our content. Lastly, we're going to finalize a schedule, use your input to develop and really start session 1 this summer. And it's going to be based on what you need, based on how you need it, based on when you need it, and the way that you need it. If you want hybrid sessions, face-to-face sessions, online sessions, we can decide what this looks like based on where you are and what you're thinking. That having been said, I've been speaking for 4.5 minutes. I'm going to ask if there are any questions that you have for me.
Any questions from members of the board? Let me give some context here. For a while now, we've been talking about, some of the board members have asked for, I don't know what we call them, retreats, thank you. Retreats or training, things of that sort. sat in this seat throughout the year, it's clear that we're in need of some sort of training or retreat so that we can refocus and get on the same page, as it were. Not to say we're going to always agree on everything, I don't expect that, but that we can all align on our goals and of moving this district forward. At the same time, that, you know, some of our members had asked for that. This group here reached out, and so I thought I would put him in front of us just so that we can hear what they offer, and if this is something that looks like that's what we want to do, and we'll take this up at the next meeting and make a decision moving forward.
So it says that you're not the cheapest, the most customized. What is not the cheapest?
Great question. So, if you were to work with, and let's just say the Michigan Association of School Boards, they have flat rates, workshops that are boilerplate that you could log on to virtually, and or they can come into your district and provide you with a session based on a menu that they've already developed. We're just a bit more expensive than them, but we're not them.
So based on it not being expensive, do we have that allowance in our budget to, if we decided that we wanted to do this, are we able to?
Well, that goes over there. Yes, Dr. Ferris.
Yes, that would be something we would build in for fiscal year 25, 26. We thinking it's after July 1.
Okay.
Because the projections pretty much complete, but yeah.
That's all.
Just
Okay, I kind of heard what you said, but what does your company do, really do for us that, like you said, that we already have, that they're giving the same thing, but you didn't tell me what would your company do different?
Great question. I'm glad you asked. So what we would do is tailor all of your experiences, let me give you a good example. Let's say that collaboration was an area where you said you wanted to improve, communicating with the rest of the team. We would likely have someone from our team administer the DISC assessment, help you work through understanding what those results are, and then really help set some goals for you individually and as a board to effectively manage and communicate. That's a small piece of what we would do, but you're not going to get that anywhere else. Well, you could get that somewhere else, but
I think we get it.
yeah, you might, maybe.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else from members of the board? Yes, Trustee Corcoran.
Trustee Clark had asked, the finance department, would that be, sufficient for the board, for the budget? But I didn't hear a total. Do we know a total
The cost?
of the cost? Correct.
No, we don't know the cost. We don't know the cost of MASB either directly. So I mean, if we want to juxtapose those, we can certainly do that and get numbers and, you know, bring it back.
And the other question I had was, is this a membership?
No, this
So
is
it's a
not.
one-time thing?
This would actually be, we're looking at quarterly meetings, and we're looking at working with the board quarterly.
For how long? For a year, 2 years, 20 years?
Well, as long as it's useful to you. We'd start with a year with an agreement for 4 sessions, and then we would, if it were working for you, look to extend that.
So is this like related to like board, self-evaluation? Is that what this is?
So this is board development, and so this would be along the lines of working more effectively as a board, working more effectively as a team, understanding governance, working to understand your roles as a board, and really, we're going to tailor it to be based on what you need it to be. And with the survey, there are 3 open-ended questions on the end of that survey that will give you an opportunity to share any additional information that we need as we think about what we might potentially offer.
Okay. The other one was the then and now, because I do remember your presentation before when you came. What is different than then than now?
That was a number of years ago. That would have been leadership development. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from members of the board? Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right, we'll go into our reports. We're at item 5A, which is superintendent remarks. I don't know if you have remarks yourself directly, or we're just gonna pass it to.
I was just gonna pass it. If you recall, we talked about math curriculum prior, so now, Ms. Murphy has more data for you, that she's gonna present to you, and then ask for some action on later on.
Well, while we get the technology up and running, good evening to our illustrious Board of Education, our President, Exec Board, our Superintendent, and our Cabinet. I am Shana Murphy, the Director of Curriculum for the Oak Park School District. And I believe it was back in January, I came to the board with an informational item related to the elementary math core resource program that we needed to take action on as a district. And as you can see in your slide deck, as they work on getting the technology up, I'm just going to go ahead and get started so that we don't waste any time. So my goals for today's presentation is to just give you a quick overview of the pilot process, to go over a couple of data displays, as well as the cost considerations of adopting this new program, along with an implementation roadmap for this new adoption. So this is a brief introduction. This program is specifically related to recommending one of 3 programs that were piloted in all 3 elementary schools this winter term, and we are recommending a specific program called Sadlier Progress in Mathematics. And this presentation outlines the particulars of that, along with the student outcomes that we hope to achieve through the adoption of this core resource program. So the need for a curriculum shift. We have had the same K-5 math program since 2015. And it is not yielding the results that we would hope to see in our elementary population, as evidenced by our MSTEP scores of the last few years. We also got feedback from our teaching staff, and I want to thank you, Jim and Ms. North. Uh-oh, that's not working out. All right, we're just gonna scroll. All right, so this need for this curriculum shift, the rationale, again, we've had the same program, and we know that our superintendent took us to standards-based grading, particularly for the K through 5, and so we needed a resource that was going to allow our instructors to really hone in on the math standards that they were teaching and allow them opportunities to engage with materials that was going to give them the information they needed to, be able to judge students' progress and mastery on the math curriculum standards. And so our current program, which is Math Expressions, does not allow for us to do that at this time, so hence we engaged in this pilot process, along with our endeavor to improve student outcomes and achievement on our state assessment scores. So an overview of the pilot process. We surveyed the teachers, I believe, 2 years ago, but we implemented a new ELA program, so we didn't want to overwhelm the teachers, so we waited a little bit. But we surveyed the teachers 2 years ago, and they uplifted 3 math programs they wanted to try out. One was Sadlier, Progress in Mathematics. The other one was Illustrative Math, and then iReady Classroom, which is the curriculum component of the iReady test. It is the actual books and materials that go with the assessment. And so our pilot design was, we started from January to May of 2025. We had all 3 of these materials in all 3 elementary buildings with teachers in all grade levels across all 3 buildings piloting these 3 materials. We provided teacher training, planning, and classroom observation for this pilot. After they piloted those 3 programs, they presented it to the entire elementary unit. In April, we had 3 presentations from the pilot teams along with the vendors. And after that, they also got an opportunity to review the materials in the schoolhouses. Then we did a vote. Almost 64% of the K-5 teachers recommended Sadlier, Progress in Mathematics, as our next core resource program. So that is the data that you see on this slide. That was after they heard the presentation, saw the materials, they talked to their colleagues who had implemented and piloted the 3 different resources. So they chose Sadlier. So one of the reasons they chose it was the algebraic foundations. And if anybody knows anything about Bob Moses, who had the algebra project in the Baltimore City School District. His contention is that algebra is the gateway to success in high school and beyond mathematics. So if we can get kids ready for algebra through this process and program, then we are on the good foot. And so Sally or Progress in Mathematics really hones in on those algebraic foundations to prepare our children. It also focuses on math vocabulary development. Many of our kids, they can do the numbers. They got to understand the words and understand the math vocabulary. So this program also focuses on really diving deep into the mathematics vocabulary that students need to understand and be able to complete the number part of the problems. This program also focuses on comprehensive assessment and differentiation. So comprehensive assessment, formative assessments, it gives teachers information about what students know and can understand and be able to do. And then teachers respond to that data by differentiating instruction. If I taught this lesson on, let's say, adding two-digit numbers with regrouping, and Bobby is not there yet, then the teacher gets information through the program, through the digital components to intervene, to pull Johnny into a, did I say Johnny? We got multiple kids, okay. Into a small group to make sure that before they go to the next lesson, that they are able to connect with the teacher to get that learning they need as a stair step to the next part of that mathematics. And then it provides complete program resources. So it gives teachers teacher materials, student workbooks, manipulatives, digital access, all of those things. But it's a means to an end, right? This program is only intended to support the instruction that's already happening to get us an intended result of improving student outcomes, particularly in mathematics for elementary. And so this program, our theory of action is that if we implement this program, then we will have a greater impact on student achievement on our M-STEP scores, particularly for grades 3, 4, and 5, which is when they begin the M-STEP. And so through that, Sattler provides support on standardized test preparation through 3 means: comprehensive assessments, digital assessment tools, and standards alignment. Again, that standards alignment is so important for our instructors because it pinpoints, it helps to diagnose exactly what part of the math didn't you understand so that I can get you toward greater understanding and a mastery of the content before we move on. And so through this process, the teachers piloted the materials, the 3 different programs. We also talked to the kids because they're the end user, right, as our president often says, that it get to the end user, and that sticks with me. And so we surveyed them in all of the pilot classrooms. We had about 15 classrooms across the district that piloted the 3 different materials. And so we surveyed all of those classrooms to get student feedback about how they felt about switching over the math materials from what they had been using for the last couple of years into this new program. And so through that data analysis, students reported using Sattler, higher overall student engagement and satisfaction. They outscored the iReady and the illustrative materials. Students also reported stronger confidence and growth projection. They felt better about being able to explain how they were getting at their math answers. And then they felt like the program had a real life relevance to them, which we know is important because, you know, kids always ask, when am I going to use this? Well, they always ask that in middle school and high school, but they ask it in elementary as well. So we wanted to survey our kids, and this is actually Miss Sumler's class right here. So with that, I'm going to invite her really quickly, Miss Stephanie Sumler. You heard her for the Student of the Month. She was also one of our pilot teachers. She's a 2nd grade teacher at Key, and she's going to share briefly her experience in her classroom with using this program.
Good evening again. So yeah, that is my classroom. That was actually an assignment where they had to look at fraction bars and do equivalent fractions with that in 2nd grade. And I had never done that before in 2nd grade. This is my 20th, I'm going on my 20th year here, and I'd never done that before. And so they were able to understand it, look at the bars of the fraction bars, and draw the bars and well, you can't really see it on the picture, but draw the bars in the picture and look to see which one had the greater value. So it was very interesting to me. The students also have a lot of excitement when it comes to math. We have a 90-minute block for our math in my class, and the beginning is always in the gradual release form of I do, then we do, and then you do, and together, and then you do it individually. And this program worked really well in that system in that I'm able to do a quick whole group lesson, and then I would do a couple of the problems together. It's like a 2-page kind of program where the first page we're doing it together, And then the second page they do independently. And while they're doing that independently, I was able to pull a group of students that had difficulty in the area and work with them on the parts that they couldn't do by themselves while the other students were working independently. And it worked very, very well in that system because it allowed those students to have that independence. They would bring me their work, and I mean, they were very excited, especially if they got them all right. And I saw that confidence grow and grow as we continue to use the program. And we also encountered a lot of things we hadn't done before. So we, in second grade, one of the second grade standards is to understand a multiplication array. So if you see a rectangle of a 3x5 array, so we've got 3 rows of, I don't know, dots or whatever, and then 5 columns. And so they're able to see that as a 3x5 array makes 15. Well, this program elevated that to not only recognize the multiplication as an array, but take us to the 3rd grade level of knowing their multiplication facts earlier than they're even supposed to in 2nd grade. So those were kind of the highlights that I truly, truly enjoyed by this program. Yeah, I'm good. I think so.
Ms. Sumler, just as an aside, her children also uses this program. So as a parent, she also had really high feedback and remarks along with the user friendliness for parents. You know, y'all talk about that old math and new math when them kids bring that homework home, and so the homework help really aligned itself with parents understanding how we used to do math. They were still getting at the concept, but it was providing a support and a scaffold for parents to truly help their children for homework. It was clearer, it was step by step, and the parents, Ms. Sumler did a survey, and her parents was like, can you keep using this? No, we piloted it, but can you keep using it because I understand and I can help my child better. So it was great feedback from parents as well. And we're almost done. Data snapshot, so students reported higher math confidence. They got lesson completion done within the time frame for mathematics in that 90-minute block, and they really got to concept mastery after repeated practice. Teacher feedback, they report 85% of teachers reported reduced prep time. And if you all know, prep time for a teacher is like gold, okay? It's their time to get their classroom set up, get their materials ready for instruction. And then teachers also noted stronger student understanding. I won't go over this, but this just shows the connection between the Sadlier Progress in Mathematics tool along with our iReady district assessment. They are aligned. Even though we did not choose iReady as a curriculum program, we still have it as an assessment, but this program is aligned to the assessment for iReady. It'll still prepare our students. And then this, we were so excited. This is the actual classroom data on this chart. So these were the classrooms that piloted the Sadlier Progress in Mathematics, and this is their winter to spring iReady growth. So the way to read this chart, our kindergarten pilot class, they ended up with 302% of growth on math from winter to spring, compared to their school average of 150% and compared to their grade level average of 77%. So they outperformed, almost in every pilot class, they outperformed students who were not using this tool from their winter to spring iReady assessment. So this is wonderful information related to direct student achievement impacts of using this tool and program. Now, this is the most important part for the board. Is this thing on? All right, money, okay, because it's going to cost us to get new materials for our students. However, it is definitely a needed investment when we think about improving the outcomes and student assessment scores in mathematics, particularly for elementary, which is the foundational years to get us on a good foot for middle school and high school. And so this is the cost breakdown for all K-5 materials for all 3 elementary schools. Lessinger uses something a little bit differently, so they will not be, they'll still get it if they want it, because you know, we take care of Lessinger as well. But this is the cost for all 3 elementary buildings, including teacher guides, student workbooks, student textbooks. That's another difference. In grades 3 through 5, they get textbooks to get them ready for that middle school, so they learn how to take notes, and they still get a workbook to do their work, but they also get textbooks to help them with that note-taking ability that's going to serve them well in middle school. So student textbooks, digital access for every student, and testing guides for teachers. So that Dollar amount is $143,185. We also got to provide our teachers with training to implement this with fidelity. That training is almost about $10,000, which brings our total initial investment to almost $53,000. Now, this dollar amount will be undergirded by many different funding sources. So grants, general fund, we will squeeze grants wherever we can squeeze grants to get this out, to expend those down. And thankfully, the state is giving a lot of grants related to literacy and early mathematics. So we'll be able to use a lot of those to offset the general fund cost. And just as a note, currently we have Math Expressions as our K-5 program. And each year we have to spend about $55,000 to replenish the workbooks that students use. So in about 3 years, we'll get our money. We'll have to invest, keep investing some, but some costs will not, they will decrease over time, right? Because we'll have those materials already. So our next steps, real quick, we piloted the program. The teachers did a program selection in May. I'm coming to you all in June for a board adoption approval, and then we will implement the program in August. We did provide our implementation roadmap there, just to let you know, teacher support is all over this. They will get training when we come back in August PD, and job-embedded training all throughout next school year to make sure that they are able to implement the program with fidelity. That's all.
Okay, thank you for that thorough, comprehensive discussion on the math curriculum. It sounds exciting. Are there any questions from the board?
I have one. The impact on current student growth. I see the third grade didn't do it.
Yes, we working on that.
Okay.
But yes, ma'am. The classroom that piloted the materials.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one third grade class?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes,
What
ma'am.
school was that?
Can I tell you offline?
Somewhere in Oak Park.
Were they all at different schools? That's the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yeah,
each
yes,
school tried something. Okay.
Yeah, each
All
school had a different group of pilot teachers
Okay.
for all 3 programs.
right. Okay, so
Yeah,
she
you
had
can come up
key.
and- you come up.
Well, I did want to just say, like, the program builds upon each other. So kindergarten had those high scores because it's that foundational skill.
No, they started out. I understand
Yeah.
that, and by the
So-
time third grade gets to third grade, they'll be. I understand that.
Yep, yeah, so that's basically that.
I get that. I was just asking, is quite lower than all of them.
Yeah, this was the highest I've ever gotten on my iReady growth. So for my math, I was the 109, but it was the highest scores I've had in my math
great.
doing iReady.
That's great.
Trustee, you good?
Yep.
Trustee Clark.
I have a quick question. So I see the professional development. Is this something that's linear, or is this something that we're doing every year if we approve this? Like, is the program going to evolve? Is it going to incorporate something different? Is it going to still be the same base, or?
Yeah, great question, great question. Typically, when we just have refreshers. So there'll be the initial high investment in it for that initial training, and then we just do refreshers. Those are much lower in cost. Unless it's a new teacher that comes on board, then we need to train them properly, but it will be much lower cost.
I see the averages and it's amazing. I guess my next question, last question, the comprehension. Are we seeing, test scores can be here or there, because I know some people don't do good with, especially because they don't do good with test scores. Is the comprehension coming through? Like,
Yeah,
I guess I could ask you
I-
instead.
One of the things I've always talked to my kids about is using math language. So I don't, at the beginning of the school year, we'll talk about the alligator eating the biggest number, for example. But then by the end of the year, I would like for them to say this number is greater than this number because blah, blah, blah. So I think that as I used this program, it implemented that language that they had to use in order to understand the mathematics that they were applying. So yes, it does definitely incorporates that comprehension, that language is definitely important.
Trustee Covington.
Do you know any other school districts that use it?
This program I found from my children, it was my own children, used this in their school. It's a Catholic school, but their scores were so high, and I thought, well, if their scores are so high on their standardized testing, then why, couldn't we try it? So I asked to see if we could implement it here, and it has definitely brought my student scores up. Yep.
Trustee Corcoran.
Hello, ladies.
great presentation, just as President said. The one question I do have is, when the students evolve to the next grade, they get in high school, they are used to this methods of learning. So once they get into that high school or even elementary, it kind of changes. And I mean that only because my daughter was a part of that. She was in school in Ohio, they had Chicago math, and we got here, and then it set her back. So my question is, seeing that we're in, the one district, maybe sometime it might, happen like in elementary and then it goes on. And that way, that one student who's graduating on to high school, they'll still be familiar, because it does change. Is that what happens at the place where you said that they're already implementing it?
I don't know about the middle school level, but they use it throughout the kindergarten, the whole elementary uses it. And I do know that their scores are very, very high for math in general. But I don't know if they continue to use it in the middle school, so no.
The program that we currently use in the middle school, it is most similar to SALI or Practice in Mathematics. It takes a more traditional math balanced approach where you get that, old math as we call it, just to make sure that repeated practice, that step by step to really strengthen their foundational skills. And Big Ideas has a portion of that will continue. It's a different program, but the setup is very similar in the sense that kids will not feel too thrown into the deep end once they get to
Because I do read, your weekly updates, and you do, have meetings. So that's why, I was just wondering, does it just, filter on?
Okay. Definitely sounds intriguing, and of course, I probably have been the one over here the most pushing on scores. So, it's my belief that when you see the staff trying to do something to elevate our scores, that we should be supportive of it. So, we'll take it up at the right time. But just those are my thoughts. All right. So thank you. It's all good, y'all. It's all good. It's all good. All right. We're at item 6, public participation. Public participation is one-way communication which members of the public are able to connect with the board. It's one-way communication, so board members are not able to respond. Trustee Perriman Tanks, this public comment guidelines.
Because the Oak Park Board of Education values public meetings, not just meetings in public, we welcome public comments on school issues. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due process for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by public comments. The public comment portion of the meeting cannot be used to make personal attacks against a school board member or school district employee. That disrupts the order of the meeting and are totally unrelated to the manner in which the member or employee performs his or her duties. Speakers should be aware that if statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, such comments may result in legal liability. Most comments can be concisely stated in 3 minutes, and the board respectfully asks that comments remain focused on the topic or issue and not be directed at specific personnel or board members. Do we have anybody? Because I didn't get any cards.
Anyone at all? Going once. Going twice. Okay. No one for public comment. All right. We'll go to action items then. Action item 7A. Action item 7A, adoption of the Oak Park Schools Emergency Operations Plan. Trustee Clark, always ready.
Whereas the Incident Management Team, IMT, School Emergency Operation Plan to ensure a coordinated and effective response to emergencies, whereas the plan includes procedures for emergency response, stakeholder collaboration, crisis intervention, and disaster preparedness, whereas the IMT has presented the updated plan to the school board for review and consideration on May 12, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the Oak Park School Board hereby accepts and adopts the updated school emergency operations plan as presented by the IMT. Resolved further that all relevant staff and stakeholders be informed and trained accordingly to ensure readiness and effective implementation of this plan. Approved the day of June 9th, 2025.
Thank you. The motion made by trustee Clark. Just a second.
I was waiting, I guess I was 2 seconds before you, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear. I thought you said, okay. Seconded by trustee Corcoran. We heard the emergency operations plan at the last meeting. We sat through that discussion. Are there any questions on this motion? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Clark.
Yes.
Copeland.
Yes.
Calvin.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Perryman Tanks.
Yes.
And Tyler.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Item 7B, resolution MHSAA membership.
I can read it.
Thank you.
Be it resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education hereby adopts the standard from resolution enrolling the Oak Park District Secondary Schools as members of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, Inc., effective August 1st, 2025 through July 31st, 2026.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm sorry, motion made by trustee Scott, seconded by trustee Clark. Or any questions on the motion? We do this annually, so it's pretty perfunctory. Hearing no questions, Ms. Greer?
Have a second.
Yes, it was seconded by trustee Clark.
Tyler.
Yes.
Elvin.
Yes.
Copeland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Perryman Tanks.
Yes.
Motion passes. We will go to item 7C, organizational membership, Michigan Association of School Boards, NASB, and yes, trustee Perryman Tanks.
Resolved that the Oak Park School Board renew its membership to the Michigan Association of School Boards for the 025,
2025.
25.
I know.
Okay. 2025 to 2026 fiscal year, which begins July 1st, 2025, in the cost of $6,508.69.
Okay. Motion made by trustee Perryman Tanks, seconded by trustee Tyler.
Yes.
Any questions on the motion?
Okay, isn't this what we just went through that?
No, it was not. So MASB provides services, obviously, and there is a membership. This would be that membership. There are services they provide, and we end up, paying for those services a la carte as we need them.
Okay.
So, what he provided would be along the lines of what we would get from them. Obviously, he indicated that
More
it was a more of a custom approach, but NASB does the same. There are plenty of others that do that stuff too. But yeah, so there's a little bit of a difference between what you would get there versus here versus there. But no matter what we do with them, we always have to cut a check.
Right.
So they have provided, for example, when we do our superintendent eval, they helped us with that. They've helped us with superintendent searches. I mean, they've helped us with different things in the past.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily mean we need to use them for everything.
Okay.
So yeah, so to your point. Any,
I'm sorry, point of this, I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
the question is, isn't that what we just heard?
Oh.
So I was just explaining the difference from what we just heard. Anything else on that? Hearing none, Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Tyler.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Perryman Tanks.
Yes.
Copeland.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
And Elvin.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. We're on to item 7D, elementary math curriculum resource adoption. You want to read this one? She just all peacock proud and hyena happy to read this one. Go ahead.
Honeymoon happy is
Okay, honey.
Would you like me to read
Whatever.
the recommendation or just the resolve?
Resolve.
Okay. Resolved that the Oak Park Board of Education hereby approves the adoption of Sadler progress in mathematics as the elementary mathematics core curriculum resource for grades K through 5, effective for the 2025-2026 school year. And be it further resolved that the board authorizes the expenditure of $157,000 to be paid from general funds and Title II grant money to cover curriculum materials, professional development, and implementation support.
Motion made by trustee Clark, seconded by trustee Corcoran. Is there a question? I have a quick one, and I'm wondering if it would make sense to do a language change, but I'm not sure. So the number you gave us is not 157, it's less than. So I'm wondering if it made sense to go up to 157 and not at 157 on this motion. Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So would then ask the board to accept a language change to this to note that the board authorized the expenditure of up to 157,000 to be paid from general funds and not at 157. Yeah, I'm omitting the rest of it. Okay, ellipsis. But is that acceptable from the board?
Yes.
Trustee Corcoran?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we will make that language change with that. More than happy to vote to support this after what we heard. You know, I'll push on test scores continually. Angel's probably sick of me doing that, but it is what it is. And, you know, test scores aren't the only barometer, but it's a big one by which we are judged.
Right.
And so if this is going to help us get there, if it's going to help those children learn more. I know that some of our board members might be sitting here from sticker shock, but wait till you get to the high school stuff. Wait till we get to the middle school stuff. Wait till your kids get to college. So I'll say that much. So that said, are there any questions, comments from the members of the board? Hearing none, Ms. Griffiths, call the roll.
Alvin,
Yes.
Harriman Keynes,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
The motion passes. I don't know where our teacher went, but she's the one who convinced me. So thank you for that testimony. We'll go to item 7E, superintendent's salary increase pursuant to section 3. It's section 3 of the contract. It would be section 2 of the second amendment, so that everyone's aware why you see section 2 in the motion, but it says section 3 in the topic. Okay? And so if we can get a reading. Come on, man. She coming back with thunder.
Ready to give this. Okay, resolved that the pursuant to section 2 of the superintendent's amended contract dated February 26, 2024, that the Oak Park Board of Education provides the superintendent with a salary increase of $5,000, which for the 2024-25 school year shall be provided on the superintendent's June 20th, 2025 paycheck.
Okay, a motion made by trustee Scott, seconded by trustee Clark. I'll just make a quick, let you know, everyone should have received from me, now twice, the superintendent's contract, and the second time, both amendments, which I did not have the second amendment, so I had to ask for that, and that was quite adventurous. Nonetheless, we have both executed documents. I was very clear in speaking with a couple of you about how the language flows on that, but believe this is the right thing to do pursuant to the agreement. Are there any questions on this?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you mean 215, right? I'm sorry, can't hear you.
She was just stating what his salary is, that's all.
Yeah, and what percentage do the percentage that you mapped out, the 5,000?
I didn't note the percent.
I'm just saying that's like 1 point, what is it?
You can certainly go higher if that's the will of the board, but you know, there was debate about whether this was the appropriate thing. I talked to our attorney, And some of the placement of some of the language there makes it a little bit ambiguous, but it's the thinking that he should at least get some, that much at least. So if you want to do more, certainly we can amend that here if you want to do it. It's the will of the board. It's a little over 2. And what's cabinet what's the plan for cabinet? Same ballpark?
I'm not ready to discuss that yet.
Okay.
Keep it the same.
One point was trying to make sure that we're not way out of whack with other plans, that's all.
Haven't gotten one more than a year ago.
Ain't just not gonna have that conversation. You brought that on yourself, so we're gonna leave that part alone.
No, I mean, you asked me, I'm just saying.
I didn't ask you that part. You offered that part.
Okay, so when you stated that you spoke to me, so because we were new and I was asking for it, so I don't have a problem with giving him an increase, okay? That's not the problem for me at all. But just making sure when we're doing these increases, that it's just fair across the board, for everybody. We have several contracts coming up, independent contracts coming up as well. Just making sure that they're straight across the board, equaled out. And so, to my statement, I don't mind with the 5,000 of an increase for the superintendent at this time.
Yeah, but the average increases be 3 to 4% in job. Our increases are 3 to some percent.
I think if we go through some of the superintendents in the district, I think he will be one of the highest paid superintendent in Oakland County, with the less amount of students.
Hold it.
And I don't have a problem with, like I said. Okay.
I said you have the floor. Continue.
Yeah, I know, I was responding to what she.
To me.
Yes, I was
All right,
responding
okay.
to her, so, don't have a problem with giving him an increase, because, he does do a wonderful job. We're not negating that, at all. He does bring in grants, he's second to none in that. And, budget has been well, so I believe definitely a 5,000 increase would definitely, I think the president spoke to all of us, and if that wasn't stated before today, then it should have been, then I think it should have been, it didn't?
He didn't.
I didn't
Okay.
hear stuff.
Okay. So, I think that with it being in the Oakland County, he'll be the highest paid superintendent. If you go do some of, one
No,
of
he
the,
won't.
near,
Birmingham.
no, Birmingham.
There's
now,
a
too.
lot.
That's true,
There's
that's
a lot.
Rochester.
Yeah, no,
Rochester is like twice what you
he won't be the highest.
Rochester is quite a few more.
I looked it up.
Yeah, there are several that are much higher, so he won't be the
Yeah,
highest.
but
But the question is not whether he's the highest, right? The question is whether this is right
It's the right thing to do.
for our district. That's the question. Whether he's highest or not is what makes sense for a district our size, with our enrollment, and based on where we are relative to what's going on here.
You deserve it.
Well, when I emailed you and I went back and I said that I was willing to go up. I know we're at about 2%. I said I was willing to go to 4, which would be roughly about 10,000. So I did some numbers, I crunched it, used my math degree, and figured that 4% was fair because Trustee Tyler is right. He is second to none as far as
Definitely.
obtaining grants.
Do it.
Morale has been great. He's been, very supportive of this district and the employees, us. He does his job, he does it well. And I think it's fair to say, 5,000 is the base, but 10, you could go up to it.
You have the right to amend what's on the floor,
If it's the will of the board.
if it's the will of the board.
4%.
So.
Yeah, you're 140 on the list of superintendents.
It's 8,600.
4%.
Yeah. So, is it the will of, that's what you're offering? That's what you see? Two?
Trustee Corcoran has her hand up.
Here, you see the math?
Yeah, I see.
And you see what comes up to?
It was right, 'cause I added it up. 8,000 something.
Just if you have a
For
question.
No, I just had, is this discussion time?
It's discussion time, yes, but I didn't want to throw it out there on the floor, so we agreed with the number that she's proposing is. But go ahead if you have something different than what I have.
No, I did like comparisons and percentages.
Okay, all right, so the question is whether we should increase that number from 5,000 to 8,600. Is that, so will we be essentially changing the motion to read 8,600 instead of 5,000? And that would be based on the will of the board to make an amendment to the motion that's on the floor. So the motion belongs to the body at this point because it's been moved and seconded. So it is the will of the body then to change that to 8,600. Are there any objections to doing that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So, true indeed, everything that the board members, the trustees had said is correct, but the only thing that we have not spoken about is our grade levels. I mean, we're not passing in this district. It isn't a secret, there's data that shows, and I would like to see the student achievement, the student growth rise a little bit more than where it is. Our president just spoke that he's the only one that speaks on.
I ain't the only one, but I'm.
Oh, I thought.
But I am. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not the only
Excuse
one.
me. I was saying, he said that he is one of that speaks about, the grades and things. So I agree with the contract states, which is a $5,000 increase, because that is what it says. But I would like to just see this district, teeter up just a little bit. We did just approve a wonderful mathematic curriculum to our K through 5th grade, and that's what I believe. I believe that if we let this program, show us the data that we're ticking up, and then, we, we have the elementary and the high school ticking up as well, I would definitely agree to the increase. But until those grades or our district gets a little bit higher, because right now we are, I don't know if anyone's looked, but, it's just a little low.
Okay. I'll address that, but you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So, I understand and agree that there's a new math curriculum coming for our elementary school. This is getting a lot of play tonight. But that said, there is some growth that we're not aware of yet. And there's a presentation coming where we're likely to see some growth, more growth than we have seen in recent history. Do I have that right? I don't know what those numbers are, but I've been told about 2 or 3 times from different people. I know some of y'all have your own sources, but that there is some growth coming for us. So to your point, I ain't saying it's where we want it to be, but I'm told that we will see some growth already before this is implemented.
Is that high school, elementary, or you just know it's just growth?
Without offering specifics, can you answer that or not? I know you probably are not ready, so.
Some stuff is embargoed.
I know, that's why I'm asking for speaking in generalities.
General?
Yes, in general. So the state assessment data is still embargoed, which means the state has not released our ability to talk about it in a public setting. We did some preliminary data digging. Along with our NWEA growth at the high school, one of our teachers, Ms. Des Fuller, phenomenal, right? So even with the NWEA growth at the high school level, they have demonstrated a large uptick in their assessment and growth with the ELA at the high school level, all grade levels. There's been some uptick in math as well, but we can speak about that because that's not embargoed at the state level. Our iReady at middle school as well has demonstrated some significant growth, along with some of the grade levels in elementary. Again, as our superintendent, as our president said, we'll be presenting that a little bit later, but preliminarily we are able to say that at the high school level ELA, along with middle school, both ELA and math, along with some improvement in reading at the elementary level, we do see growth.
So there is some growth coming. I just wanted to respond to that. I'm not saying it's where we want it to be. I'm just saying, since you mentioned it, that there is some growth coming. So we have a secondary motion on the floor about whether to accept the amendment from 5,000 to 8,600. So I'm going to ask Ms. Greer to take a roll on that question.
Cochran?
I'm sorry, what question?
Whether, so we're not, so the main motion,
Yeah, just repeat the motion.
to whether to change, whether to amend the motion, the main motion, from 5,000 to 8,600? 8,600, which is 4%.
So this, we're voting on that motion.
Whether to change
To change it.
from 5, like to increase from 5,000 to 8,600, so,
And she caught up anyway.
yes.
No.
Colvin,
Yes.
Tyler,
No.
Herman Kane,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes, so now the motion reads, instead of 5,000, 8,600. It's four,
It's
4 to 2.
4 to 2.
So that motion passes, and now we are moving from 5,000 to 8,600 on the main motion. Ms. Greer, please call the roll.
Clark,
Yes.
Herman Kane,
Yes.
Elvin,
Yes.
Tyler,
No.
Scott,
Yes.
and Colvin.
No.
Okay, that motion passes as well. We will go to item 8A, information items A, 2024-25 final amended budget reading. And Dr., see, it almost got me because it says, I see what it says, but it's Dr. Foster
That's me.
to present. So Dr. Foster.
Thank you. Good evening once again, members of the board, superintendent, cabinet, district staff, and community members. Again, my name is Sharice Foster, and I am coming before you to present on both our final amended budget for 24-25 and our proposed budget for 25-26. So if you will all draw your attention to your 24-25 packet, we want to look at pages 2 and 3, which will share our current revenue, what we're proposing as our closeout for the year. Our revenue is broken up in 5 buckets, where you see the operating millage, our local funding, state funding, where a lot of our grants are housed, our grants, which represents our federal grants, and our Oakland millage and miscellaneous revenue. Per our amended budget that I brought before you this past February, we have an increase of revenue by $3,137,391. This page 2 just offers kind of just like a graph to kind of see how the buckets are broken up. If you draw your attention to page 3, I give more of a detailed explanation so you can see how that funding has shifted. So for example, for our operating millage, we had a decrease in property taxes based off what our initial projection was. However, we had an increase in our other local funding, and that represents some voided checks. We had many, many years of voided checks that were sitting on our books, and one of the things that the auditors picked up or talked about last year was that we have to get that all cleaned up. So based off, do you remember how many years it was? Voided check? Over 10 years where that wasn't like reconciled. So the auditors said, hey, we're not gonna give you a hard time about it this year, but you gotta clean it up. So we went back several years and voided those checks, and we received that back, and that was placed in our local revenue. Our state funding, you will see an increase. This is largely because of the grants that we brought into the district. However, I really want to draw your attention to our enrollment stabilization funding. What I provided you on page 3 is our initial projection, which is in red,
our amended budget, which is in black, and our current closeout for the year. I thought it was important to show just the whole progression of our projections. The enrollment stabilization funding, we initially budgeted for the $2 million that we got the previous year. This is one of those double-edged swords things. As you can see, after final count, we were only awarded $240,000 due to the fact that this funding is only offered to districts with significant decline in enrollment. But because of the last 2 years, we've stabilized our enrollment, been consistent, we no longer receive this funding. And I really thought it was important to lift this because, as you can see, we still maintain a significant increase because all of the other state grants that we brought in. But just remember that when we get a grant that is specific to an activity, that's that grant money, you have to have an expense to match it. So we got a $2,000 grant that's just for purchasing drums. We need to have an expense of $2,000 to purchase drums. But funding such as like this enrollment would have really helped with, you know, just different things outside of those that required an actual expense. And I brought it to your attention last year that the whole funding cliff would not have an ESSER this year, keeping in mind that over the past 3 to 3.5 years, about $2 million or more a year, ESSER picked up just in salaries alone, in addition to discretionary. So I just thought it was a great lift in terms of the district, how we're maintaining, although reaching over to pages 4, 5, and 6, we do see an increase in our expenditures. So what I provided on page 4 is another kind of just view of what those buckets look like as it relates to our current expenditures. You'll see an increase in instruction. What we found over the last 2 or 3 months was a significant increase in substitute costs and costs associated for our special needs, specifically as it relates to speech, evaluations, etc. There's a key at the bottom of this page that represents what each bucket represents. So instructional support, again, a lot of that third-party contractual costs. General business, which includes like the board, budget, executive administration, business services. Operation and maintenance, there was an increase due to some of our custodial costs. Central service and athletics, an increase of our expenses by $3.8 million. Going back to page 3, let's look at where we are with our fund balance with both of those increases. So we have our increase of revenue total amount projecting out at $58,821,981, with expenditures exceeding by $2 million, lowering our fund balance from approximately $14 million, which was projected per the auditor's report, to a new fund balance of $12,525,247. So again, just going back at the beginning of the year, when my initial projection for the end of the year would have been $13 million. Per the close of the audit, it came back at $14 million, and that's a whole timing thing. So what we do at the district is we try to cut off spending like by late March, early April, to give all the expenses that are out there time to go through the whole procurement process. Because when the auditors come in, they want to see what's closed, what actually hit the books by June 30th. But if we have things lingering out when I do my projection like now, I'm capturing all the expenses that I see, even though it hasn't closed out because I have a few more weeks to go. So by the time the auditors came, there were some big buckets that hadn't closed out, which is why you see the $14 million. So I don't want you to think my forecast was that off. But had it closed, everything closed like it looked on the books, from $13 million, we would have went from $13 million to a fund balance to a decrease by $12 million, which would have been about $700,000 we would have been off with our projection. Any questions about the general fund?
Question on the athletics, which is increased by 80%.
Yeah, same thing with, we had the whole third-party thing, like our coaches go through a third-party will sub, but one of our sub companies, they charge a significant increase, a percentage, like an admin cost for all the coaches that run through there. So we've already started strategizing as it relates to next year, of just looking at different avenues of who or what company we're going to utilize for those third-party services and bringing more people in-house if it's going to satisfy our costs, or lessen our costs, I should say.
Anything else from members of the board? Okay, continue.
Okay, thank you. Then our other funding sources, we have our cafeteria. You'll see our original budget with a fund balance ending at $110,500,000. $110,028. It has increased by $305,000. I do not necessarily expect that for next year. I will share with you why that increase took place. So when
Where
you
are
look
you at?
oh, I'm sorry, cafeteria. I'm sorry, that should be page 7. I'm sorry, let me know I'm going too fast. Good? Sorry, page 7. All right, so let's talk about the variances here. So for revenue, there's a, food sales, you'll see where we were at 135. If you notice in your board updates for the finance department, we just underwent an audit for our food service program. We had to clean up some things in terms of how our vending, catered events, adult sales are recorded. So based off some activities that were on our books from the 22-23 school year, the previous food service manager had information coded incorrectly that we corrected this year, but as a result, we did have a finding where we had to pay back our food service fund by over $160,000, which is why you see this increase right here. But other than that, our revenue exceeds our expenses, which we always want to see, and we're expecting to close out revenue in our food service department by $305,674. Moving on to page 8, our student activity account. This account is back and forth. We keep up. I'm going to keep it the same as it is. What happens here is this is where we have our fundraiser money that is raised by different student events from like the cheerleaders, the football team, those revenues that come in from ticket sales, and they pay out based off some of the activities that they want. We use the same funding to pay things out. But we have to make sure that whatever that activity is ties to whatever expense that comes to us. Page 9. Debt, our 2021 debt. What this represents is from our 2021 series of the bond, you have to pay the money back. So for 2021, we're showing that based off the taxes that, this is what I'm on debt. This the taxes, property taxes at $914,000. We collected a little less than what we projected. But our expenses are at $856,000. This is the interest that we're paying on that debt. So our revenue exceeded our expense, which leaves us another fund balance of a little over $1 million.
Sharice?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You said 2021, or is that this?
So when you,
What
you know,
page?
page 9. Page 9.
Oh, okay.
So you got 2021, 2023, and 2025 because those are the years that the bonds were sold. They were broken up in 3 series.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me know if I'm talking too fast. 2023 series that was just sold last year when the 2023. I'm sorry. I gotta get the debt and the bonds. 2023 we collected over $22 million in property taxes. The interest paid is approximately $2 million, a little under the $2,000,001, which again, revenue exceeded the expenses with a nice fund balance of $842,000. So what these debts are showing us is, yes, we have the debts, we're paying it, but the revenue that we're bringing in from our taxes is exceeding what our debt cost is, which is a good thing.
Right.
So bond 23, we have completely spent out this year. This is a series that was sold last spring. The reason you see the negative is because that series was completely released to us last year. This year we completely spent it out. And then for bond 25, as you recall, we just sold this past February. We initially thought we would spend approximately $7 million up from February to now. We're only at about 2.5, so we're projecting about $20 million left on the books at the close of the year, depending on what needs to happen to get our summer programming done.
That's $20 million that's owed, correct?
No, that we have remaining.
Oh.
Yeah, we just sold this one in February. Yep. And then our sinking fund. Again, it shows that our revenue exceeds our expenses with a fund balance projecting at $170,755. I provided a key at the back of the function codes as you take your time
So we meet again to go over these budgets for pages 5 and 6 if you want to have a more detailed understanding what those function codes mean. Any questions regarding final amendment 2425?
That would put our fund balance at
Approximately 20%.
20%. And the threshold that we set.
5%.
15.
No, I thought you were talking about as far as the state jumping in and
No, I
taking
thought
over.
it was.
No, the
you're right,
threshold
he's
we
right.
set was 15%.
He's right, it's 15.
Internally.
Well, we, the one we
Yes.
said.
We said 15%.
Yeah, all right. Any questions on the amended budget, trustee Corbett?
Is it possible if I could come and meet with you, because I know we haven't received any financial statements in a little while, and I know we approved the bills, but I haven't seen any bills, so I just wanted to
Oh,
know if I
sure.
could come and take a look at some.
Financial statements, like the monthly statements?
Yes.
I can get you copies of those as well, but yes, sure.
Anything else from members of the board? Where does this, fund balance, what's the, net increase slash, probably it's a decrease?
Decreased
On
by
percent.
about 2.1%. We're at 22, mid 22%.
And we decreased last year too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, do you recall, you may not, so do you recall what the decrease was from?
No, I do not, but I can definitely get it to you.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Anything?
It was definitely in the single digits on the lower end, like
So, the stabilization,
Mhm.
like, it is a double edge because you don't get it anymore.
And that
But
was
you don't get it
1.8
for a good reason, because you're not losing enrollment, but then
We're not
the state,
hemorrhaging, we might be losing, but we're not losing in drastic.
if you're losing, you would get way more, but, so the state says, oh, no, you don't need any help from us, you're good. So then they take it away. Well, when you budget for it, now you take it away, so now your things drop.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that
you
was,
lost ESSER too. What's that?
I said, no, it drops. I was
It
just-
drops.
And
then
ESSER
you
was
lost-
anticipated though, right?
Yeah, ESSER, but you still lost because even though it dropped, you have people still lingering from the ESSER funding that the board had approved, some positions that were still lingering, that will no longer be lingering.
yeah, the 1.8 million was definitely a blow, and you have to keep in mind that the timing of our state aid, like by the time we get a big idea of what it's gonna be, that's November. So we're like 5-6 months into the school year. And then we know there's gonna be a change with the final count, which is February, when I did the amended budget. And then after that, it was like, dang, we didn't get it. We didn't get the whole amount. We got some decreases other places and small increases in others, but that 1.8 was a significant blow.
Alright, I got you. Anything else from members of the board on 2425? Yes.
So with this budget, do we, I mean, there may be directed to the superintendent, do we see that we're going to decrease in our enrollment, or do you think for the next year, we're still gonna be stable?
We're about to hit that?
We're about to hit that.
It's for 25, 26, right?
So I think when Sharice produced you a budget, she did it on the same number,
Yes.
right? You
Yeah.
did it on the same number to play it safe, right? And then she also projected the same number on revenue, on per pupil, even though we don't know.
Right.
But we are advertising, so our target every year is 100 net, 100 net. I don't know if you projected for 100 net, but if you get 100 more students, that's an extra million. For every and then your capacity to not needing any additional staff, you could get 500 more students in the district without the need to add any more teaching staff.
Question. What is our enrollment now? Do we know that? Those numbers?
2,996, almost 3,000.
296.
2996?
Yes, so just say 3.
Let me see. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let me get 2,996. Okay, all right, thank you.
Alright, additional questions on 24, 25? Okay, let's go to 25, 26.
All right, let's do this again. So 25, 26, starting with pages 2 and 3, we're looking at the revenue. So again, the way I project out is I pretty much use how we ended the school year, with the exception of knowing those grants that we know we're not getting funded for this year. So for last year, we knew ESSER was falling off the books, so it's just a see that huge of a difference in terms of the revenue proposed for the upcoming year. So based off the final amended budget and what I'm proposing for the original budget, I'm proposing a slight increase with the revenue due to the fact that we should anticipate some carryover with 31A if we stay where we are. And there's some rumors out there that we're gonna get more, but just to play it safe, if we stay where we are, in addition to the proposed carryover that I'm expecting, that's the difference of the $319,000. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same, with the exception of eliminating some of the title grant, some of the IDEA funding, because this year, we started the school year off with 2 whole new awards. We've spent one completely out. We just got awarded another one. We're spending out the second one, so IDEA looks a bit less because we spent the 2 from the previous year, and we're going into the year with just 1.
And we don't know about the reimbursement, the Medicaid reimbursements. the
No,
SNAP.
that's huge. So none of that was
That's huge.
accounted for.
We don't know what that is, and I did send you guys an email on that. And we don't know if the state wants to give you more per pupil and collapse the categoricals, or if they want to keep it. And they have, when I spoke to our state rep, I was told they're not even remotely close to where they were just last year. So what Sharice is doing, we're guessing.
I'm pulling it
We
forward.
are guessing to the best that we
That's
can.
all it is when you don't have your numbers.
Yeah, I'm pulling it forward, but just so we have a foundation understanding of what we're doing, and we're just not making up anything, I'm just pulling it forward from the end of the year, what it looks like now. Draw your attentions to pages 4, 5, and 6, the proposed expenditures, and the difference from the final amended budget. We're projecting to close out the year with about $61 million in expenses, based off our already strategic plannings that's taken place weekly over the last few weeks. We're expecting to lower that amount by, again, looking at the contracts that we currently have in place, really capitalizing on more resources to get those costs down associated with some of those administrative costs, attrition, various strategies that we have in place to get that figure down that we know is closely associated with third party and salaries. Which will bring us back, if I bring you back to page 3, just kind of seeing what we proposing to look like towards the end of next year. Balancing out, maintaining the fund balance as is. How likely is that to happen? Not sure. I mean, we talked about it. We know we have some ghosts out there. We'll continue to be strategic and very aggressive in capturing as much grants, being responsible with our general fund dollars. But the likelihood of this going down some, I wouldn't be surprised, but not significantly. So with the superintendent putting in place, our new quarterly review will be just on point in terms of what our spending trends look like, and prepared to make any shifts if necessary.
Two quick questions kind of in the same ballpark. One, do you consult with the auditors when you do this part, especially that we're trying to budget and to numbers we have no idea what's going to happen, to see if we're somewhere in line with general principles or whatever, and kind of as a byproduct of that question, do you have the idea as to how we're handling this? Is it any different from what other districts are doing?
I'll be honest in saying that all the districts that I've consulted with, my colleagues, I would say at least the 3 or 4, they're really feeling that financial cliff of PESER. You're seeing mass layoffs. You're seeing just major shifts in terms of funding and just shut down in terms of spending. Significant blows to the fund balance.
What happens when you still are employees and you can't afford them anymore? Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was shade implied. Go ahead.
Yep.
It was good shade though. And as far as consulting with the auditors, I'll be honest with you, since I've been here in the past, I wouldn't have been comfortable with doing that, but I see a great relationship developing with our new auditors.
Yeah.
In fact, we have a meeting scheduled with one of the leads next week to just kind of discuss these things, just making sure we're compliant, that they're guiding us in the right direction, so our closeout is smooth and no findings this year.
And I will say, I mean, just, was it this morning, right? So this morning I walk in, and I'm like, where's everybody? And I look, and they were talking, so I opened the door, and they were doing this, and they do this weekly, where teaching and learning coordinates with human resources, with finance, to ensure that everyone is aligned. So before everyone had their own departments, the problem when you have your own departments, one department makes a decision. By the time it gets to, say, teaching and learning makes a decision, without consulting finance, finance doesn't budget for it, now her numbers are off. Or if she produces discussions that Sharice and I talk about, all right, we're going to do this, this, and this, but teaching and learning or human resources is not aware of it, it's not in sync. And so just today when they were operating and talking together, there's a lot of behind the work scenes. I mean, just not throwing shade, but another district just much bigger than us with a much less fund balance than us. I won't say who, right? And that is why we talk about you want to have that minimum fund balance for situations like this, right? You know the federal government, what they're doing. The Michigan department over there, they're in limbo, but we are nimble and we are not bloated. And so with discussions, it's really good. I mean, we're in a good place, and the board's in a good place because you're not left for a half a year to figure out where are we. Because every 3 months, Dr. Foster's going to come to you with updates. Here's where we are. We don't know nothing. But it's better that you get them quarterly than waiting a half a year or 8 months and then feeling blindsided by it, and now you have to react instead of being ahead of the trends, which is, I credit the team. Got a good superintendent too, but.
Page 7, cafeteria for our projection for the original budget. We're not expecting that huge increase in revenue because again, the previous one was due to the audit finder that we had to pay back. Expecting a slight little blow to the fund balance based off what I noticed this year and minus that additional revenue, but still a remaining positive fund balance of $187,918. Page 8, student activity account, which is keeping it status quo. It's been working. The debt 2021 for the original budget, not lowered the property taxes just a little bit at $900,000. Still keeping the revenue is higher than the expense. Proposing a fund balance next year ending at $1,063,000. Same thing, debt 2023. We're looking pretty good. So just keep in mind with the debt schedule, that's set. So I don't have to do any work with that as it relates to expenses. It's planned out for the 20, 30 years or however long the debt payment is. I just plug in the expenses and just keep up with our property taxes for the year. And debt 2025, which will be new because we just sold that series this year. We know for certain what our expenditures will be like. We're projecting our property taxes. Hopefully, I was just keeping it close. I'm looking for a minimum fund balance of $12,161. Sinking fund. If we look at what happened last year, we're expecting actually an increase of a fund balance by about $20,000. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. And then the last one, is that the last one? Yeah, bond 2025, we're expecting Tiffany to spend all this, right? By December or January of 25, 26 for our 2025 bond.
Can I say one more thing? This is not remaining stagnant either. This is building out the district, investing into whether it's technology, whether it's athletics, whether it's carpeting, whether it's bleachers. So you're doing all of this, plus you're building up the district. It's not like the district is suffering because you're trying to maintain a healthy fund balance. You're maintaining a healthy fund balance and still building out the district. You're still getting the playgrounds, you're still, I mean, elementaries are badly in need of makeover. We're starting with Key, then Einstein, then Pepper, Lessinger, you know, it is a newer building, but you got phase 1 starting at Nova. You got phase 2 finishing there, so you are building out, and Tiffany is stretching the dollar. She is stretching the dollar, and so I don't want you to leave here and say, well, we got a good fund balance, but we're not renovating, we're not growing. We have to do both. Sorry.
Where are we projecting, unless I missed it, enrollment to be?
So we're at the 3,000 mark now, superintendent, we're projecting 3,100, but I did base the budget off the 3,000 mark, 3,050,
So we projected it to stay flat based on.
just to keep it safe.
And we'll get you numbers before school starts. First day of school, we'll get you raw numbers, but the real numbers are when, September? September, count days, the real numbers, but we will get you. October,
Yeah.
we will get you raw numbers weekly to see where we are. We'll let you know where enrollment is, and then October, we'll get you.
All right, any questions? You asked them throughout, so trustee Corcoran.
Does this budget include any donations that we've received?
Yes, it will be under your revenue, and it will be more under your local. It will be in this pot up in here, like your miscellaneous.
On what page is that, I'm sorry?
Oh, sure, page 3. It would be embedded in this miscellaneous. Page 3 at the top under local revenue.
When you asked about donations, what were you thinking?
I'm thinking donations coming from sources outside of grants.
Those are typically earmarked though, right? For a specific purpose?
I was thinking, you
I
know,
got-
you
I got a
have
place to put every
multi-million
dollar
dollar
that
guy
comes
come
in.
in and say, oh, someone passed away, they say, oh, we wanna leave, you know, 10 grand to the school, or we have you know, a resident that's been here for a long time, wanna donate, cause they like Oak Park, they graduated from Oak Park.
And I stand corrected on that a little bit, because you can also get, like, a school can get a donation, and I'm gonna put it in their student activity account. But if it's a donation that's just offered to the district, it'll go into one of these accounts up here, up for our local revenue.
That's like not much money, right, typically?
Hmm?
That's not much money typically.
Oh, no, I mean, not since I've been here. no.
Yeah, right, exactly, and
I think Lessinger got something last year, but no, not very many.
Yeah,
I just
people
wanna make sure I
donate.
answer that correctly.
We got almost $50 from Kroger.
Yeah.
Pat and I.
immaterial, and so.
$50
It
we
was-
did get.
But if someone gives a donation, they say, I want this
They
to go to
earmark it
Lessinger.
for a specific purpose, so it's an in and out.
Yeah.
It's a pass through, almost, it's in and out, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from members of the board? Okay, trustee Clark.
Forgive me if you answered the question, my brain is quite frazzled. So you said that we're doing renovation in phases and we're starting at Key, and then when are we anticipating that to happen?
So what we're doing is on top of the bond work, right? So it's totally separate. The bond work, so right now you're doing OPA, you're doing NOVA. But if you walk in those elementaries, you could tell.
Oh, I can tell.
Right. So, for example, they got paint work going on right now in Key, and then we're doing lighting, and then carpeting at Einstein, paint, and lighting and paint, and then Pepper's next. Pepper just got their kitchen, you know, renovated, we sent you updates there. So that's in addition to the bond work. So that's just us, and any additional money, or we applied for things, like we applied for a grant for new instruments. Elementaries didn't have, they had flutes and stuff. So we got a big grant on instruments, so we bought a whole bunch of new instruments and, you know, instituted a bigger than the flute. Is that what it's called? The flute.
But you have the instruments, unfortunately.
Any additional questions from the board?
Recorders.
Thank you.
No additional questions, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well done. item 8C, FTE for Executive Director of School Safety and Security, Mr. Abdullah.
Okay, so, thank you, President Alvin. So as you guys were experiencing our students, and Derek touched a little bit about Nova. And those of you that have been around for ages, if you walk into Nova, it is not the same Nova that you're thinking of. When I tell you that transformed it, when I walked in today and I asked my assistant, I said, "What are you doing?" She said, I have to answer all these requests for building tours from people. She said that to me today. Now, she operates behind the scenes. She doesn't, she keeps me together when I'm losing my cool. But that's what she was doing today. She was responding to all these visits requests. But I am stretching people thin. I'm stretching people very thin, and they. So, that being said, and understanding that we could do better because it's not all rainbows and unicorns, okay? So I admit that, and we need to do some things better. In order to do that, I do have to separate a few things. One of them is separating the Executive Director of School Safety and Security from a side gig on paper, but a full-time job in nature. I don't know how he does it, but that man is from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, nonstop. I know because he's texting me. Buildings, I'm here on Saturday. I'm like, come on, man, and never complains. But I do have to separate those two positions, and I am requesting to separate those two positions. The other position is...
We're going to 8D now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So the other position, as some of us are getting older, we have to look at how do we continue and how do we pass on the baton. In athletics, given that we are ready to go online with the athletic center, that's coming up in December. They're doing really good work. And knowing what we're trying to do with athletics, we need more than one person to do it and to do it right. And so when we were exploring opportunities and we were asking the question of how do we elevate athletics, right? So we know girls track and field is doing awesome, but we also need to address soccer, basketball, cheer, all these other things. We do need some help there. So I am also requesting an assistant athletic director. Some people call them athletic coordinators, but this position would do more than that. They would handle the books, they would handle some of those things that would require additional support. With two people, I think, I truly believe that we can elevate athletics to the next level and stay within budget.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the board?
Yes.
Trustee Corcoran.
You said that you were separating the two positions. It was one position going into two positions, right? About the first one you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Follow up.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know if you had a follow-up to that.
Oh, I did, but I'm not gonna say anything. So those two, so actually it'd be one position, then the other position is the one, the assistant.
It'll be the principal of, let's just say, principal of Nova, and then a standalone executive director of security and school safety and
So
security.
so right now, are you putting an ad out right now because you're saying these two
Well,
positions are available?
I haven't put an ad out yet because I need
Oh,
to
you're-
present it to you, and then I'll put the ad out.
And what we're seeing is the new positions that are already accounted for. He doesn't need to come before us for those, but new positions he does.
Yeah, he only, actually, yeah, right, that's what he's talking about, the athletic.
Yeah, I was just speaking in general. Anything else? Trustee Tyler?
Is this in the budget already? Is it in the budget? Don't, no, it ain't in the budget yet. It's in the budget?
These two positions,
Are they in the budget?
partially, because the executive
Partially.
director of school safety, once we eliminate just the stipends and all of that, the director of athletics, that's going to mitigate costs associated with all the extra staff that we hire for games. I think it's gonna be close to a wash.
Okay, all right, that's good.
It'll just be a revision of function code.
Okay.
That's a big dollar then.
Anything else?
Well, athletics went up half a million.
That's what, yeah.
So it would mitigate.
Okay, that's good.
Anything else, members of the
No, I'm
board?
good. I'm good.
Okay, nothing else? Okay, we are now at communications, item 9, any communications from members of the administration?
I think we said enough today.
From members of the board?
I just had one thing about the graduation. It was actually invaluable. It was amazing. I just want to give a shout out to the administration that set that up, that started early. I also was very impressed with the ad in the paper. Thank you for that. I did read that too, by the way. And I opened it, I was like, oh my God! You know, it was really nice. We had a whole, if anyone reads the newspapers, you know, nowadays we're on our phone. But if you open up and you have the whole center section, that is a great deal. So I just wanted to make sure that I did not say that and that. And also, our gifts were amazing. Thank you very much to the 2025 committee.
Okay, anything from any other members of the board?
Oh, can I say something? Sorry, I know it wasn't my turn, but I just realized.
Anything from
I
other
like to-
members of the board?
I'd like to welcome Ms. Scott back.
Can I finish that
I'm
first?
sorry, yeah.
From members of the
All
board?
right.
Anything for other members of the board? Okay.
I'd like to welcome Ms. Scott back. We've been checking on her. She said something, I'm like, hey, Ms. Scott, how can we help you? She said, you could watch my kids. I said, no, you can't watch your kids, but we can treat you to. But we're excited to have you back, Ms. Scott. Several people have been asking about you, and we're excited to see you back and healthy and,
Yeah, thank you guys
nice
so
to
much.
see you back.
My baby, she's amazing. Thank you for always checking on us. I appreciate it. Still waiting for you to watch them so I get some sleep. She said no, but that's okay. I really do thank everybody.
Happy to have you back.
Yes.
You should know they gave you a nice little ovation.
He
at the
told me I have
graduation.
to watch it. Yeah, he's supposed,
So-
I think I saw it.
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, it's on
You know,
YouTube.
had a nice little ovation. It was nice that you had a baby. So.
That was you. You're the one that made the
I don't
remarks.
have to, see, I don't toot my own horn, dog. You know, I don't do all
Well, you
that.
were that day with the alphas and
Hey,
you know, like-
Alpha, not Al. There's Alpha, not Al, right? Toot my own horn. Yeah, it's great to echo Councilperson sentiments. Great job by the committee on that. Also, want to publicly thank Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist for being willing to be the keynote at the graduation. So, thank you to him. I thanked him personally. I saw him 2 days ago. Thanked him once again for doing that. So, much appreciated from him. Okay, Trustee Chairman Tanks, next meeting?
The next meeting of the Board of Education will be held Monday, June 23rd, 2025 at 5:30 in the boardroom.
5:30.
5:30.
It say 5:30 on my paper.
It's 5:30 because we have to have a special meeting.
We do?
For the public.
Board meeting at the administration building.
That's right. At 5:30, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead. 5:30, we done?
In
5:30?
the boardroom at the administration building.
Got you.
Good night.
If nothing else, without objection, pass the motion to adjourn the meeting by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to doing so? Hearing none, we are hereby adjourned at 8:21 PM. Thank you.